I am responsible for overseeing the design and construction of water and sewer in the annexation neighborhoods, and coordinating with the Department of Transportation when they do urban widening projects and relocating our facilities. I attended North Carolina State University. I started out in mechanical engineering, but as I got into the curriculum, civil engineering was more of a fit for me. So I pursued that with a concentration in transportation. From there, I worked at the DOT, the North Carolina Department of Transportation, while I was in college, and also when I got out of college, that's where I worked. And then I came here about 6.5 years ago. I've always been interested in math and science. I've excelled in math, and my high school calculus teacher actually introduced me to the field of engineering. At the time, I did not know what an engineer was or what they did, but as I started researching it, it really fit with my interest, and so I decided to take that path and see where it would go. As I got into it and started looking into it, I decided to go the mechanical route because I grew up in the fire department and was a volunteer firefighter, and my dad was the chief of the fire department, so I got to be around when they were speccing some of the trucks and designing them, and got to go and tour a plant as part of that. And so when I first went in, I went in as mechanical, and that was one of the things I wanted to do, was design fire trucks. But as I got in, civil was more of a fit for me because, one, I wanted to stay local to North Carolina, and there's not any plants where you build fire trucks in North Carolina. So plus, I really like things that don't move. They have a definite, answer. So I didn't really like working with moving parts as much as I thought I would like working with moving parts. So I had a really great advisor at college, so I decided to steer more towards the civil direction. I have never found it difficult to be a woman in a man's world because I grew up in the fire department. I have a brother, and I just don't see a difference. I mean, I look at you as the person that you are, and I feel like people look at me as an engineer, not as a woman engineer or a woman in a man's field. The atmosphere here at PWC is very supportive. Whether you're male or female, they're supportive of everyone in any position, but especially in the engineering position, they offer technical support and training and education, and I've just had a very great experience here. All the comforts we have, air conditioned, cars to drive, buildings, homes to live in, roads to ride on, are because of engineers. And it's not just civil, mechanical, electrical engineers. You have agricultural engineers who give us the food, the different varieties of food to eat. You have industrial engineers who make up the processes so that we can process those foods. You have electrical engineers for electricity, and it's just awesome. Without them, we couldn't survive.
I've been with PWC for 2 years. As an electrical engineer here, a lot of what we do is just making sure that the system continues to meet the needs and demands of our customers. Sometimes that can be identifying old parts or parts that aren't working the way we need them to work, and finding a replacement or upgrading them. That could be issues that are happening, such as squirrels on the lines, or trying to come up with a way to just get rid of things that could affect our system and reduce our reliability. I think I kind of identified the traits of an engineer kind of early. Well, I guess not identified them, but I kind of displayed them kind of early. A lot of times my parents would buy me something and bring it home, and I was interested in playing in it, but some of it was, what's in there? Why does it work the way it works? So there's been a number of times they'd bring something home, and I'd take it apart, have pieces all over the place, and a lot of times it didn't work anymore when I put it back together, but it was just that feeling of accomplishment, when I did put it back together and it worked. So that, on top of always being really good at math, and in high school I took an engineering course, and it just kind of let me know that was the path I needed to take. Engineering is so important because engineers are the world's greatest problem solvers. So without us, problems would just be running rampant. There would be nobody to solve them, and that's what we do. There's that curiosity there, how things work, how can we solve an issue. So that's what we're made to do, just solve problems. I think the big thing is finding out what type of engineer you want to be. So, for me, it was a course I took in high school that kind of said, all right, you like electrical, let's focus on electrical engineering. Let's see what goes on there. Even here, we have internships. We've had, high school students that have come in to do on-the-job shadowing. So just identify somebody who's in the field of engineering who, may just give you the opportunity to see what you do, what they do, and allow you to, just sit down with them, and explain what's going on. I did an internship in Orlando, Florida with Naval Air Warfare Systems, to where, on that one, it was a bunch of simulations, and it kind of showed me that I didn't want to do that part of engineering. So, in identifying what you want to do, you also find out what you don't. Well, I think, it's really important for students to get into STEM because, there's always going to be a need for that. There's a huge gap already between, older people who got involved and people who are currently involved now that, once those people start rolling off and retiring or, going other places, that need is still going to be there. It's always going to be important.
I have been here a little over a year, started last December. I was a consulting engineer in the private sector with a small consulting firm in Lumberton, North Carolina, where I live. We did a lot of site development, site design. So that's what kind of helped me transition into this position here. We have delegated permitting authority from the state of North Carolina. The state has to review and approve any water or sewer main extensions that are proposed in the state of North Carolina, and we actually went through in 2003 and obtained our local delegated permitting authority. So here at PWC, we actually issue any water or sewer permits that are proposed within City of Fayetteville, Hope Mills, surrounding areas in our service area. And the reason we have that permitting is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public. That's the charge for the professional engineer. Our governing board requires that we, at all times, protect the safety, health, and welfare of the public. So your drinking water, you want to make sure it's safe, and you want to make sure that your toilet's flush and things like that. So a lot of times it's kind of a joke that nobody bothers to wonder what goes on in engineering until something goes wrong. And I think a lot of people saw that, for example, during the hurricane when their water went out. Everybody was wondering what's going on. So that's what we're here doing. A lot of those things that go underground, water lines, sewer lines are underground. People don't think about them until something goes wrong. But we're constantly here trying to make sure that things run smoothly. And so the permitting part of that is required to make sure that any new lines go in, protect the health and welfare of the public. We want to make sure that they're put in according to the standards and the requirements that the state has set forth to make sure that we protect those things. So, wanted to become an engineer because growing up I always loved knowing how things worked. I was always building, trying to put things together. And so my mom and dad always loved, I don't know that they loved having things lying around just broken apart, torn apart, putting them back together. Some projects I'd finish, some I wouldn't, but I've always enjoyed that. And then in school, I really enjoyed my math classes. And it's a shocker, I know, but nobody loves math, right? But I loved math, and so my teachers and professors all thought that that'd be the best way to go. And I always, loved that and kind of knew that at an early age. I think I wanted to go into engineering just for those reasons. So, kids today want to make a difference and want to have an impact immediately getting out of school. And a lot of times you may have to work somewhere a while before you start really seeing that impact, but in engineering you start seeing that impact right away. And that's what I love about engineering, is you don't have to wait to see that impact. It's something that is right there in front of you as soon as you start to work. There are many, many different types of engineering. That's one thing that people don't realize. Everything you touch, everything you do has been touched by an engineer. There's been an engineer's input on that. Like, you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you go to the bathroom, you take a shower. Engineers had an impact on that. You get in your car, drive here. Engineers had an impact on that. So that's something that the world needs engineers. Engineers keep the world going round. So